Hello, welcome to this week's Back to the City. Today I'm joined by a box, and underneath this box is Alan, representing two bands, English majors, and what is your other band, Alan?
CBDBGBs. Yeah.
I wanted you to say that because
okay,
it's such an excellent
it's fun,
band.
yeah. It's a word you can chew on.
It is a word that one can chew on, and I'm glad to have given you the opportunity to do so.
To publicly masticate, yeah.
So you just put out 2 records on Halloween.
Yeah.
And the one that we're going to focus most of our attention on is Milhouse, which is the 3rd record from English majors, following Depressive Realism from 2020 and 2021's The Sophomore Slump. Can you begin by saying a little bit about A, the box, and or B, the decision to put out 2 records from 2 different bands on the same day?
Okay, so the box. Rest assured, just so people can sympathize with me, and empathize and just see me as, a paragon. I want you to know that underneath I am a perfect physical specimen. So don't worry. I'm not hiding in here. Well, I mean, a little bit. My grandfather played lap steel guitar, and in high school, he performed at the talent show, and he was so nervous that he hid behind the curtain. So he played behind the curtain because he was just painfully shy. And he played his song, and apparently he was like kind of a virtuoso. It was beautiful. And then he just like ran out of the place crying as soon as it was done, just in a total despair. And he just went right back home. Apparently he spent like the next 4 days in bed, and he won the talent show. He didn't know that, but he actually won. And yeah, I feel a little bit like that. I like to write music. I am not a performer. I do not feel like artists should owe like their corporal identity to the world. I don't like how you basically have to look like a model to prosper in this industry. I don't like the objectification of all that, and I'm a very private person in a lot of ways, but I feel like with the disguised identity, beyond the benefits of eluding my probation officer, I feel like I can be more emotionally honest. And
there is a lot of emotional honesty on the record.
Yeah, too much maybe.
Different strokes.
Otherwise, as for why I put out 2 albums on one day, I was just sitting on a backlog of stuff. And they come from 2 very distinct periods. Milhouse I wrote almost entirely in 2022. And then the CBDBGBs record I wrote in about 5 days.
When?
This summer. I made the last song not too long ago.
And Alan and I were living under the same roof.
Yeah. You were living there during the creation of Milhouse.
But when I complimented Alan on the box, Alan said, "Actually, this is your box."
It is your box. Yeah, it had your things in it this morning. I was looking for a means of concealment. I saw the box in the middle of the room. Bing, bang, boom. It's done.
Bing, bang, boom box.
Yeah.
And not only is it my box, my voice is on one of the songs.
Yeah, nepotism, man. You gotta, it's a greased ladder. You gotta climb any way you can.
Difficult to do whilst one's covered by a box. My voice is not the only guest vocalist.
No, I tried to sing as infrequently as I could. Yeah, I have a lot of great guests. I have my friend Taylor on there, my friend Alexio, my friend Molly. I should just say they're all my friends. I'm not putting any enemies on this record. I suppose I'm a little nervous for this interview, to be honest, Simon. It's this is the one chance I have to grasp at prosperity. This is it. This is where I make my mark, Simon. So I'm a little nervous. And then my friend Tristan sings on 3 songs.
Which are the 3 songs that Tristan sings on?
Oh, the first and last song, and then Better to Lose.
Let's zoom in on Milhouse, the title firstly, and then also the song.
Okay.
There are 2 relevant Milhouses. Who are those?
So there is obviously Richard Milhouse Nixon. I wanted to write kind of a proggy Pink Floyd kind of song about Richard Nixon, just because I couldn't believe one didn't exist. But it's actually really hard to write anything about a guy who like is kind of responsible for a genocide, as far as stalling the peace plan that LBJ was putting together for his own political gain, Nixon's own political gain. It's hard to write a song that's anything other than just like screaming and maybe a garbage disposal. That's kind of all Nixon deserves. You can't give a melody to Nixon. So I didn't do it. It is the Milhouse from The Simpsons, which is probably the one everybody thought of. I have pretty severe depression, and there's a lot of times where my forehead and my eyes are out from under the blanket, but nothing else. And I watch a lot of Simpsons reruns when I'm doing that. And, I think everybody, they try to be Bart Simpson when they're a little kid watching the show. They want to be the ragamuffin or whatever. But the more I watch the show, the more I realize that it's Milhouse.
I've never told anyone this kind of thing before, but I've never felt this way before. I think I have a crush.
What I love about Milhouse is that the writers have given him no identity beyond just like pathos and misery and just being entirely neurotic. If he is on screen, something very sad is about to happen to him.
But underneath, he's a sweet, sensitive person. Like you. I guess you could say I want to bring out the Milhouse in Nelson. But I'm all Milhouse.
In a way, I felt like what a great mascot for indie rock, especially where indie rock is now, where, yeah.
How so, especially where indie rock is now?
I feel indie rock is the saddest genre. Printed. That's what I said, yeah.
I really love the cover of the records, which, if I understand correctly, is referencing a number of things, including an Elvis Costello record. I did. That is kind of now the sticker that I'm going to use rather than the record cover. Oh, I see.
That was made by my good friend A.D. Holm. Again, not using enemies. Maybe I should collaborate with people that hate me. Anyway, yeah, so he did a very wonderful drawing, kind of taking off the My Aim Is True album cover from Elvis Costello. But it's Milhouse. And
so what is
it's
the
perfect.
relevance, or why that particular Elvis Costello record? Why is that being referenced?
Well, it's a great record. And it's got Huey Lewis on the News on it. Well, not Huey Lewis. Huey Lewis wasn't on there. But, yeah, the studio band that Elvis Costello used on that record later became the News.
Really?
And, I actually, on Depressive Realism, that record ends with like a little 4-song mini concerta, let's call it, about discovering that you are the illegitimate son of Huey Lewis, which I can neither confirm nor deny that is autobiographical. Like legally, like I've signed certain papers and paid certain penalties, so I've been advised not to say that anymore.
Let's focus on some of the specific songs now. On Milhouse, and we'll definitely make sure that the other record gets some attention as well.
Okay, good.
I love the breadth, the sonic breadth on the record. For some of the slower BPM songs, there's a Nick Drake kind of feel.
The record, I have a bipolar disorder. I have bipolar 2, and I've read that frantically in the middle of the night, when everyone should consult WebMD. But I've read some research believes that bipolar disorder is a neurodegenerative disorder, so that, it slowly eats away at your brain as it goes along, and the highs get higher and the lows get lower. And that is kind of exactly what last year was for me, whereas there really was kind of no in between. I was either sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night for weeks at a time and just kind of spinning out a little bit, or, I was in the depths of despair. Yes. So there's actually, this record is actually a lot faster than my other records because I've kind of lost the ability to create during depressive periods.
So
I
you've lost
can't
the
really
ability to.
like during depressive episodes. I don't have creativity anymore. I just have exhaustion, I suppose. There are a few songs that I made during a depression. What's funny is that they were all made within 24 hours after being discharged from HCMC, and I was still pretty, let's say, narcotized. You know, they'd really thrown everything at the wall on that trip. They tried a whole round of stuff. And so when I left,
this is when we were living together, of course. So I know.
Yeah, you fed my cat during that time. Yeah. So there aren't as many. I don't want this to sound like it's going to be a despairing record, because it is, and I don't, but that's not salesmanship. I can't say that. No way. So, it's got a positive message. It's for the kids.
I love that after some of the most, what could have been the most downbeat lyrics, suddenly there's moments of exuberance. So, for example, in customer service, I just want to get drunk and watch sitcoms. What happens immediately after that lyric is this, I think, very exuberant, joyful explosion of sound.
Have you ever gotten drunk and watched a sitcom, man?
That's what
I
happens.
mean, what else? No. It's what comes out. I don't know, man. I wish I had a better answer.
And in Better to Lose as well, when there's the lyric, I'm always thinking, there's the tinkling ivories there. It's very playful.
Yeah.
That's not an actual piano, or?
It is a synthesizer of a piano that's run through an arpeggiator. So it's kind of jumping all over the octaves. And then I also did some arranging, so that, it's kind of, that was kind of hard to do, but it's an arpeggiated piano.
Yeah, it sounds great. I really love the craft of that particular song.
Yeah, I should say those lyrics, Tristan came up with those on the spot.
Really?
Yeah, that whole song, I played it for him, and I think he listened to it twice, and then, like Jay-Z, man, he just came in and murdered it off the dome. Like Jay-Z. Yeah.
That's really interesting, because I feel that is one of the few moments where there's a scope for communication between these two records. The theme, like, it's strange that Tristan came up with those lyrics in the moment, because the idea of it being better to lose, just pause a moment and take it in, it's always better to lose than win, makes me think of, on the CBDBGBs record, Behold the Beast.
Yes.
Where there is a voice that's highlighting, this is the part of the movie where the mean kid
learns there's dignity in losing. Yeah.
Learns that there's dignity in losing. Yeah. Is that a sample, or is that?
That is. I was originally trying to find there's like a sound font or kind of AI thing out there where you can make it sound like Joe Biden, and so I wanted old Joltin' Joe on my record. I couldn't find it. You had to pay for it. So I found one. I think that voice is one of the guys on Succession. I don't know. I've never seen Succession, even though I love Peep Show, which is it's done by one of the guys. But I really liked his voice. So like that was one of, I don't know, 20 different voices on that website that you could use, and it was more like I was playing the language like an instrument than I had a specific meaning I was trying to communicate. I should also say that the CBDBGBs record was made in 5 days, kind of in a blur of really not sleeping. So it's very experimental, it's very loose, it's scrappy. It is delusional. I don't know. Delirious. It's it goes by fast. It's like any manic episode, it starts out very strong. The first song is kind of post-punk, and then by the end, it ends with an acoustic guitar, like gently finger picking. Yeah.
I think even within Hot Eggs, the opening track, it kind of gets stripped down to the acoustic guitar at one moment,
Yeah.
like 1 minute 37.
Oh, yeah, I suppose it does, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of showcasing what's to come. Behold the Beast is the one that has this voice. So those words, those are your words.
Yeah.
I love all of that. It's kind of to believe that everything is
Accidental.
These are the last of the good years.
And they're not even that great. Yeah, no.
They weren't
I mean,
even that great.
that's the cliff we're dangling off right now. You know?
Right. And then it ends, or near the end, if I'm going to feel this way, I want it to mean something. And it culminates in, ladies and gentlemen, behold the beast.
Yeah, I say, I wish our feelings could take form. I wish we could throw a net over them. And, you know, you could charge admission. You could be like, hey, look, that's it. That's what it is.
How does,
you know?
How does that idea relate to having put your feelings into the songs on both of these records?
Yeah, so I suppose that
something.
could be, that's a nice reading. That's a ace job there. Yeah, I should, it's, you know, when you have pretty, I don't want to say debilitating, but pretty severe mental health issues that, you know, I'm pursuing wellness. I am medicated. I am not advocating despair. I'm just dabbling in it. But, you know, it's hard to get people to believe you sometimes. You know, they just get tired of it. You know, when you are at your worst and you reach out to someone, I find very often the first time they've got a movie in their head about this where they talk you away from the ledge. They fix everything for you. You know, the montage ends with you guys making pancakes. It's going to be great. Everything's good. They really want to be there for you. Like the first couple times. But, you know, when it's years down the line and it's still kind of the same yo-yo, you know, I don't want to say people get cold or callous, but it is a little bit like, you're still doing this? Like, we're still riding this elevator up and down? Yeah, I do wish it was like, you know, like leprosy. Like, at least leprosy, your limbs fall off, you know? You'd be like, hey, check it out. I really can't come into work right now. I literally do not have anything below my knees anymore. Like, what do you expect?
What you were saying reminded me of one of the songs on Milhouse, where there's an address to someone recognizing the person is cast as a saint for listening to the complaints. Which song is that?
That's HCMC. That I wrote in HCMC, the lyrics anyway. There was a woman I was very much in love with, like self-destructively in a little way. Like I knew it was gonna work out. It wasn't gonna work out, and I pursued it anyway. And I don't know, predictable heartbreak is still heartbreak. It still hurts. But I was very deeply in love with her. She was kind of what was helping me drag through a pretty bad period, and I wrote that to her.
I really like how that song honors being torn between two different states. I just want to hold your hand. I just want it all to end.
Yeah.
Kind of encapsulates that.
Yeah.
Honoring the one feeling state, and then there's this other feeling state that we're oscillating between these two different frames of mind.
Yeah, well,
is that something that you have?
I mean, I attempted suicide last year. And this is I don't know. It happened. You know it happened.
Yeah, I remember. Yes, I
yeah. You saw what I left behind. Oof. Anyway, we've never really talked about that. Yeah, so I attempted suicide last year. You know, and I did a stint in the hospital. And you know, the hospital, they just send you home after a while. You're not better. I remember I came home and there was still just blood all over everything. And yeah, so I came home from the hospital and just like mopped it up. So I I was dealing with that. That was in the summer. And then, there was this woman I was speaking to. It was a wonderful person who, I still love very dearly. And, of course, she used to work at the suicide hotline. So it was kismet, What better? Who would be better for me to find?
Yes.
So I fell very deeply in love, but it was a love I knew it wasn't going to work out. And, I'd also, just failed to kill myself, not too long before that. So that was still there. So it was a place I've never been in where I was both deeply in love and ready to die at any moment.
I like that the song very succinctly captures both components of that and lets them be next to one another. And I think a lot of the songs are being with both of those things. And there is a trajectory to the record. I think the sequencing is very artful because we start with, in customer service, we start with being in a state where I just don't feel motivated, hygiene seems overrated. And there are moments of commitment where you kind of make a promise to yourself.
Sure, yeah.
If on the one hand, in letting go, I can't trust myself and I'm too lost to decide, that's right before HEMC. The record ends, Milhouse ends with, boy, keep it going, don't lose your head. So there's that moment of commitment, working through.
Yeah.
And
I'm taking the shipwreck and setting sail,
Yeah, HEMC ends, I'm trying to be all right.
Yeah, this isn't a performance, I don't want to be this way. Yeah.
There's a lot of humor on the record. Let's make sure that we appreciate the humor.
Yes.
So in Our Love is Now Classified, which is reckoning with relationship not working out.
Because one member is in the CIA.
Yeah, exactly. The way in which that particular song reckons.
By the way,
with
the
that.
CIA is a criminal organization and should be investigated. Yeah. Just want to get that out there.
I'm glad you did. That ends, you view the world with wonderment, I install puppet governments.
Yes.
And this contrast between one member of the would-be couple that...
Yeah, that is a dynamic, that you could take the lyrics literally, but, it's not actually about someone that's in the CIA.
Right.
It's like some people, they're mercenaries of love. I don't know what it is. They drift through. It's all... People are toys to them. I don't know.
This idea of viewing the world with wonderment,
Yeah.
I think is relevant and comes up a number of times. And I think that when you're in the flow and creating, there is this embracing of wonderment. Do you agree? What thoughts do you have?
So
about embracing of wonderment?
I've had a lot of time to spiral into myself and, muck about in the, pungent depths. When you kind of collapse into yourself, every now and again you rediscover that there actually is a world outside of you. And it's like, oh, that's right. I'm, a collection of gunk. I'm not, there's so much beyond me. And so that is kind of the saving grace. That is the toe line that I'm holding on to. White knuckling.
Good choice.
Yeah,
Good
sure,
choice of thing to hold on
What
to.
else are you going to do?
And even in one of the more Nick Drake influenced, sadder, slower songs, there is the recurring line, I'll wait for you another month or two. So there, I think that also kind of encapsulates these two aspects of, okay, this is how I feel, I want this to be meaningful, I want this to lead to loving relationship, and there's like a promise to oneself, okay, but I am going to, it's only going to be for another month or two that I'll be.
Yeah, I should say the waiting, it isn't, I'm waiting for you to fall in love with me. It's like, I will, wait out non-existence a little bit longer. Which is something you can never tell someone. Mm-hmm. So I put it in a song. I didn't say it out loud.
Right.
But yeah, it's totally toxic. Don't do this. But to basically feel like the only reason you're alive is because you're in love with this person. What 1-star Google review. Don't do it. There's better ways to hurt yourself. Get a skateboard. Like you might impress some 13-year-old. They might think you're cool for a minute.
Or maybe write the song Vin Mariani. That's such a fun song. That's maybe my favorite song.
Oh yeah, that song, that song that was actually the first song I wrote on the record. I
think
that
we'd
was
written
just
that
fun.
before we met, like when I was moving into the house, I think. Is that plausible?
Yeah, actually, I think it was right around that time that,
I think I heard a version then.
Yeah, she might have actually come over and recorded it. You might have been there for it. You were definitely there by the time she recorded the second song. Yeah, I mean,
I really love it. What do you
I
love about
wrote
it?
almost all of it while you were living there.
The song...
You're my greatest inspiration, Simon.
I made a record when I lived in that house, and you made too.
Yeah. So yeah, Vin Mariani, it is a kind of medicine show wine that was loaded with cocaine, like an absurd amount of cocaine. And it wasn't like a fringe thing that guys with really long whiskers were drinking, in some shanty town, in the Old West. It was endorsed by the Pope, by Pope Leo, and it was popular everywhere. Emile Zola drank it. It was the world loved cocaine. They couldn't get enough. And it was also really high alcohol content.
Unbeknownst to themselves.
Yeah. So, I just love, sometimes something comes into your life and, it's something you've never experienced before. And you're like, this is amazing. So one of the lyrics is like, I'm a better worker. I feel closer to God. I'm his purest vessel. That might sound odd, which is kind of what I imagine someone who was told by the Pope to drink cocaine wine.
Yes.
I imagine that's what they think. Like, you know what? God loves me so much right now. Something's going on, Finally, Catholicism pays some dividends. Yeah, so if something like that comes in, you don't know what it is. You're just like, this is great. And, I imagine that's what everybody thought when they were drinking that cocaine wine.
For all those...
I feel like, there are other things that can come into your life that are very similar. And you don't realize they're destructive, But
you get the boost.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't know. Yeah.
Right, and then essentially become addicted to feeling that way and assume that it's this one thing, whether it's like a beloved person or cocaine wine.
Yeah, well, it's the cure,
Yes. For all those immunodeficient, when prayer is insufficient.
Yeah.
1 glass in the morning. Yeah. When I'm feeling rough, 2 glasses at dinner. That's never enough. It's so fun and funny, but I do think that this is an interesting conversation because it kind of relates to the idea of even casting like one person as all of the meaning in my life relates to how things wind up with that person.
Yeah.
There is a kind of seriousness to the analogy between the cocaine wine and the...
Yeah.
I love how you take that story and use it as the genesis for this song, where if we're paying enough attention to the lyrics, we, the listeners, are in on the fact that what's really happening is the person is accidentally
taking a major
cocaine.
Narcotic. Yeah.
And it ends tastes so much better than transubstantiation.
Yeah, transubstantiation, gross. Yeah, I'm not a vampire. I don't want to drink Jesus' blood. What is he, a German? Don't show me this weird kinky stuff. I'm not drinking your blood, Jesus. Let me have some wine, okay?
Again, I really love how whenever there is just pure humor on the record, it's by analogy, the situation that's being discussed or reflected on playfully does, I think, relate to the bigger existential themes. The same kind of thing happens with the song called James Wright.
Oh yeah, that's a poem. I didn't write that. He's just a poet that I really love.
So you put it to music.
I really like ASMR.
Yeah.
You know, part of mania is just never sleeping. So anything I can do to just try to make sleep seem even close, I will do. And so I was really into ASMR. And a lot of ASMR is like intentionally banal. Like it's just meant to be just so mild you just drift off. Like people used to fall asleep to shopping networks, and it's kind of a similar idea. But you know, I still, you know, I'm a meaning-seeking person, so I would listen to someone just ramble on about their nail polish or whatever, and it's like I can't do this. And so I started looking up people like reading poetry in an ASMR way, and that's how I stumbled upon that. That's just. I stole that without permission. I have no idea who the person reading that poem is. But I just thought it was beautiful, and I really loved your voice. And, you know, I would really love to do soundtrack work. So I arranged that song to that poem. And then I also, on the CBGBs record, I have a music video that I would really like this video, like when this is posted on YouTube, to link it to, from this French New Wave film called The Fire Inside.
Yeah.
Which I think, like, the song I wrote for that kind of feels like a thesis statement for me. Like the video itself too, just the dialogue and then the music I put to it.
So what is the thesis?
I mean, just like it's a summation of my musical ideas, maybe more than my intellectual ones. Okay. It's also kind of the end of an era for me, that song, because, you know, I've been unemployed this whole summer. Pretty much all the gear I made or I used to make this record, I've sold. So, like, one of those guitars in the last song, The Fire Within, that was the last time I ever played it. I recorded that song and then I sold it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, there's something
I've sold.
Beautiful.
That is the one thing. You know, the next English majors record might be a cappella. I am. I've lost most of my instruments.
Well, there's dignity in losing.
I will say, my records are on Bandcamp. They're each $4.20.
Yes,
nudge,
I love
nudge,
that.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
But you can pay whatever you want. So if you want to pay $30,000,
yeah,
you know, honestly, it's what you owe me. So
please enable.
Like, if you
Alan
just
to
think
buy
of
some
the
new instruments.
impact this record is going to make on your life, this, you know, the downspout that you're just going to tumble down now that you've heard my record, you owe me, man. Pony up. Give me that green. Yeah.
Something that I haven't highlighted yet about just how the music sounds. There's such rich tapestries, and I think it's very artful how where you have different instrumentation drop out or come in, and I think that a song that does that in an interesting way that relate, again, thinking about the theme of the song, is Undressed.
Yeah.
Because we have the building up of the tapestry, and then this is one moment in the song Undressed on the Milhouse record, I think it's about 1 minute 20 in, where it pauses, and then, you know, it's, I think that this theme of undressing or kind of stripping away some of the different elements of the tapestry is interesting. Do you have any thoughts that you could share about your songwriting process, the creation of these tapestries, the stripping away of different components?
I'm just the Lord's mouthpiece. No, no. I don't know, what kind of mood am I've still got Catholicism lingering in my brain, I guess. I triggered myself, and now it's not going away. The process is boring to anyone. Like, you don't want to know. Like, your favorite artist, everybody wants to, think of, like, Jackson Pollock just in some kind of crazed, state, flinging paint at the wall, and each splatter says something about, geopolitics. That's not life. That's not actually how art's made. Art is a slow process. Mm-hmm. It involves wading into the muck and the mire of, your brain, just wrestling with your own mediocrity, just trying to get something out. It's like, say you go out with someone that you broke up with, and you're talking to them, you're just catching up, and you feel like you're trapped in a previous version of yourself. You're like, I'm not who I was when we were together. And I'm bored of who I used to be. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to introduce you to this new me, You've never met that person. Who knows? I kind of feel like when I am making music, that, I'm looking at, the workings of my brain, and I am not impressed. So it's just a lot of condensing. It's a lot of bad ideas, just hours of bad ideas. And then every now and again, on accident, something happens. You're like, okay, the world needs to hear that. Yeah.
Another moment that I really enjoy that prompted my question about the process is in the song Cozy.
Yes.
Just say it like it is, and shadows will go away. And I feel that then the sonic shift, there's suddenly a lot of presence, like a lot of parts that maybe like a hook comes back in again.
Yeah.
And that kind of fits to me with the idea of, okay, the darkness, the shadows go away and replaced in this particular moment by the presence of the hook, and it's suddenly a lot less stripped down.
That song was originally called Groovy and Juvie.
It is Groovy and Juvie.
Yeah, it was about, I had like a whole set of lyrics and stuff. It was just glorifying youth and revolt, larceny, just being a cool kid, and, smoking cigarette butts you pick up off the street. And it was originally like just kind of this fun, bouncy, like kind of 60s psychedelic song.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like it. And my friend Alexio actually wrote all the lyrics on that. Again, not an enemy. Got to work with some enemies. I got to reach across the border here, There are plenty of people that don't like me. I don't have to look far. But anyway, yeah, he wrote those lyrics, actually. So those are not mine. But he, I think the song is just like a come on. I think it's just trying to talk someone into bed. And there's something, at one line he says, get on in the blanket ship. And I thought he said Blankenship, which I know the name from the poor secretary that dies on Mad Men. So I put at the end of that song the little obituary that was come up for her.
Something that I'm not sure whether there's much to say about it, but that I want to refer to at least before we wrap up is the song Fantasyland on the CBDBGBs record. It's very short.
Yeah.
But I think it's excellent. I love the song Fantasyland.
It's like Prince having a panic attack.
Yes.
Originally I had like a Happy Mondays idea.
Okay,
and,
what was the Happy Mondays idea?
I was using a lot of like kind of the Craigslist of like the UK. Trying to find someone. I really wanted like a UK or Irish rapper to spit some verses about Queen Elizabeth dying. Just celebrating it. I thought with like a big like kind of Sean Ryder kind of for the boy,
Yes, I would have loved that.
Dead. The bat's not coming out of the cave anymore. I had lyrics. I wanted someone to deliver it. I never found him. So.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's a fun song, yeah. It's like dancing during an air raid.
Yes, and I love that what happens immediately before it starts is "Behold the Beast," and then I feel like the statement "Behold the Beast," and then "Behold."
You could say, Fantasyland. I think like the actual idea behind it is it's sort of like, I like to go to Transmission.
Me too. The Transmission Dance Night on Wednesday, free at the
Hosted
VFW.
by Jake Root. It's at the VFW.
Mm-hmm.
If you see an enchantingly handsome man there, it might be me. And I'm single, ladies. What am I doing?
Excuse me, are you
But yeah,
Alan?
I like going
Do you
there.
wear a box sometimes?
I like going there. I like doing my little frolic. I'm a
Yep.
terrible dancer, but it's dark, so people.
It's more about the singing, I think. Anyway.
Yeah. So I go there, but the
Collective
thing
singing.
is, like, I don't feel good most of the time. So I'm going there, and I'm just trying to shuffle my feet. I'm desperate, and so that's kind of that is kind of the idea of the song. That's where I got it originally. Was that it's got a driving kind of funk to it, but it is uncomfortable. Yeah.
Agitated.
And that's very much the way I feel at Transmission sometimes. Through no fault of Jake Root's, no fault of his.
Someone is at the front door. Alan.
Someone's at the front door. This interview was so serious in the announcement. It just ruined it.
We're filming 3 episodes of Back to the City today.
I will say, in this box, I've just started naturally closing my eyes because it's kind of dark anyway. I am 5 minutes from nap time.
You're feeling cozy.
It's really nice, yeah.
Okay, well, maybe it's time for Alan to wind down for Alan's nap.
Yes.
And for Simon to prepare for the next guest. Will be broadcast next Thursday, 10 o'clock on MCN6. It's going to be Twain. Perhaps it's time to transition to
Okay.
the next
Can I make
episode.
a statement before
Please
this
do,
ends?
yes, exactly. We do need to wrap up with a statement. What's your statement, Alan?
Okay, so 2 things. Both records are on Bandcamp. Please buy them. Please give me money. I do not have a job. I have one Stratocaster that I really love that I am a few weeks away from having to sell. I don't want to do that. Please buy my record. The other thing, we have a bustling music scene. And sometimes it's like a circle pit. And I came in with sharp elbows, and I am so sorry. I've gotten in some fisticuffs. I've made, there have been rivalries. And I had this beef with Brian Setzer. And we found a mediator, former hostage negotiator. We agreed to some terms. And then I've learned recently that he has osteoporosis, and that he's in his 70s. He's infirm. Beef's back on. Anytime you want. As far as I'm concerned, call me Bob Barker. I think stray cats should get spayed.
Brian is probably watching, so...
Yeah, he's cowering, is what he's doing. The rivalry's back on. I am, you don't mess with me.
To be continued. Alan versus Brian. What a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alan. You never disappoint. I'm really excited about these 2 new records. They just came out.
Please give me money.
On Halloween. Please give him money. Don't let Alan have to sell his Stratocaster. We want there to be a 4th English Majors record. And Alan, I look forward to you and whatever box you happen to have at the time returning to talk about it. Thanks for tuning in to Back to the City today. Thank you, Alan, for coming on. We'll be back next Thursday.